I hate that you're in charge of this now. I changed. What? Why are you laughing?
I don't know. I was gonna be like, we're going live in 3, 2, 1, and then I realized I had to unmute all of the mics, which I can't do in a single click, and then also switch over from the waiting room. It turned out to be like a longer than 3-second thing, and I froze and I started laughing, and I was like, oh, ha ha ha.
Ridiculous.
It sucked because I actually had like a dumb, like when like you want like a video starts and you like walked into like the back half of a joke. I had like a really dumb back half of like a dumb joke that was going to lead into like a stupid character, and now I can't do it.
You could have.
No, it's ruined. I ruined it for myself. I know I could have. That's not the point. I know that I could have done it.
I like that it was for you and not the stream.
I don't do any of this for any of you. To be clear, this is entirely something I do for my own amusement. Anyway, welcome to TGS, the weekly TGS stream, everybody, where it's just a fucking train wreck every week.
Welcome me, your new co-host, Corey Healthy Boy Davis.
Yeah. For those of you No, go on, please. No, please.
Oh, I was dying. I tried to do a stream when I had COVID, and I was dying. And I was like, I tried so hard.
Every single day, Corey would complain to me, not because he felt sick, not because he had COVID. He complained to me because COVID was getting in the way of him taking advantage of having all of this time off from work to be able to do shit. He was like, I can't draw.
There was like 3 or 4 days where I couldn't even like watch TV. I was so tired. All I could do was like lay on my bed and stare at the wall. And mind you, I kept on sitting up at my computer like I was going to do work and just like staring at it.
Like, I don't know. I've talked on end about your fucking work ethic. To watch you just try and pedal your way through COVID, just being like, I'm gonna create something.
Do anything.
Do you have any idea how out I would be if I had COVID? If I could fall back on that, the amount of nothing that I would do would be staggering. It would be absolutely staggering.
Once I started to feel better, I cranked through work like I've never cranked through work in my life. And today, I didn't do anything. I said I went to like a coffee shop and like a sandwich shop and like drew like 8 pages of sketchbook of copybook sketches, and then like I took a walk and I started making characters for the adventure we're doing next week. And then I drew it. I drew like a bunch at home too, and I was like, oh, today. It was good. Hell yeah, it was.
Hell yeah, he was.
That being said, next week.
Yeah, dog.
Next week we're doing a combat playtest. Bum bum bum.
It's not just a combat playtest. Corey and I were talking about this before stream. This is going to be the first time anyone's ever played Vault Peddlers.
Right, because we've done character building, which I would consider a part of a game, but not like the rolling system, not like any of the mechanics.
Yeah, it's gonna be the first time that anyone's ever played Vault Peddlers, and that's a wild fucking landmark for us to be crossing over.
We don't know yet, Els Dragoon.
That's a good
Our goal is
question.
to get through like 2 combat encounters. We'll see very quickly whether or not our combat system is going to work.
Yeah.
I have high hopes for it. I know that we'll have to go back to the drawing board on a bunch of shit.
Well, yeah, like definitely it goes without saying that anything we make, more than likely we're gonna have to like reapproach or whatever. I think it's gonna be quick though. Like, ooh, excuse me, but no, like the combat that we have so far, like it's really been designed to be fast. It's been designed to be snappy, and I would guess over in 3 rounds. Like,
boy, I don't know.
That's a high expectation.
Well, and that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, how we've designed combat is like how I've been describing it. Like, I mean, it's faction-based combat, right? Like, each faction has a turn, and then you talk amongst yourselves on who's going to, like, when you're doing things, and then you can do things interstitially around each other too. So instead of like doing move, attack, move, you can be like, you're going to move, I'm going to do this attack, you're going to come in, and then we do shit.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it should be exciting. I made a bunch of equipment. We should probably go over some of the equipment because it's real fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Or we can save it for the playtest. I mean, like, I don't know. I was saying this before, that I think equipment is going to be one of those things that is going to sell the setting a lot more.
Yeah.
Because it's felt like real fantasy oriented.
Tell you what, before we go into equipment, because I actually think it would be cool to have like a basic overview. Can we talk about some of the stuff we've changed to the basic roles? That actually might be a good entry point just to get everybody caught up on stuff.
Sure, like right off the bat.
Yeah.
We've taken our attributes and made them approaches. So now the game is modular. Anything, like any skill can come from any approach. Right. We've also gotten our skills down from like 17 to 10. We've gotten our approaches down to 6 now, I believe.
Which is going to make the derived attributes way easier to calculate for people.
Yeah.
Actually, what I was specifically referring to was our new critical system, which really changes the way this game is going to be played.
And I'm very excited on this because like Els Dragoon got me thinking last time, and like I kind of knew it was the case, but I was like, I really like the idea of like rolling max on die being criticals, but obviously with a like multi-polyhedral die system like this, except for D20s, because fuck a D20, I guess.
Right, that's what they all say.
It's just, it just wouldn't work. Like, it's just the case that, like, it's much easier to come up with that critical on a D4, so why wouldn't I roll with a D4? So, let me get to the, what are you in, 1E?
Yes, 1E. It's right under basic roles under mechanics.
Yep. No. Oh, that's Caravan 1E. Vault Peddlers 1E is what I'm looking for. All right, so let's go. Okay, yeah. So.
I roll a whole separate die for crits does nothing other than be critical or not. That could just be one more type of dice that your caravan provides. Ooh. Els Dragoon, don't cool. Don't give us this information after we just settled on the system. I really love that idea, but goddamn,
I like that a lot too.
I love that idea.
All right, let me explain what I came up with, and we're gonna put that in the back pocket,
right?
Especially like having a D20 now, like having a critical die be your D20.
Right, that's such an elegant system. That's great.
Well, and then you can have like hitting crits or doing different things change the range of criticals depending on like how you're going through.
Okay, no, we can't get into this. No, tell us the system that you made, Corey.
So, how this works now is like we changed it to a degree of success, degree of failure system, where the DTV, which is the number you need to hit to do a task, to hit somebody, you have to hit the target die value. TDV, is that what it was?
Target dice. Value, yes.
Okay. Yeah, target dice value. I'm looking right at it. So. This is going in ranges of 3. So basically, degree of success at 3 over is 1 degree of success, is an extra degree of success. 6 over is 2 extra degrees of success. 9 over is 3 extra degrees of success. Yada, yada, yada. These have mechanical benefits like for extra damage or, I mean, a lot of it right now is kind of sitting on GM Fiat. Which I'm fine with as it stands. We can offer like a suggestion of things to do, but I don't know. I like that freedom in games. But I digress. The point is, the only way to actually hit a critical in this game is to be rolling with Caravan resource. Now, this is for a couple of reasons. It's the only time you're really going to be innately, other than feats, rolling with 2 die. It's also representative, I think, of the fact that it's you pulling from the resources of the group. This is a game about community. The only time you can exceedingly go off is when you're working within the confines of your group. So, how this works is every time that you roll doubles, when you're rolling with a Caravan resource, you get an extra degree of success on your roll. Notably, though, you can get an extra degree of success even if you fail the roll. So if the TDV is a 7 and I roll a 6 on 2d4s, well, I don't stock succeed, but I can take that degree of success, apply it, and now I succeed. Or if if I'm rolling like for something that's very difficult and all I have are the 2d4s, I can't really succeed because I'm so far under the target dice value in the degrees of failure that adding that 1 degree of failure, I mean, it might mitigate some of the loss, but I'm not going to be able to like automatically succeed. But you don't have to spend these when you get them. What you can do is bank them. And then anytime that doubles get rolled, you have the option to utilize the bank, your banked degrees of success, or you can just put it in there for later. So the idea here is that it encourages you to roll from this pile of dice in the center, because we can start stacking these criticals every time we get a double. So I'm like, okay, now we want to roll from this table, this pile, instead of saving it, because every time a doubles comes up, we're going to get criticals that we can either use or save. And now the cool thing here is you can only use this when you roll doubles, except for if you want to push a roll. The idea of pushing a roll is you're taking your bank and wagering 1 extra with it that you're going to succeed on the task. If you succeed on the task, all of your criticals in the bank plus an additional 1 get applied to that roll. So if it's something you think you're going to be able to do pretty easily, or if it's something that is very important to the group that gets done, it's going to be worth it to wager these banked die. However, if you fail on this roll, all of those degrees of success count as degrees of failure. So now it's this gambling system. You can always push a roll, even if you have nothing banked, because you're at least wagering 1 degree of success. So now there's like access to the bank at all times, and you can keep building it by rolling doubles. And anytime you roll doubles, you have the access to use them as well. So that's basically the idea of criticals in Vault Peddlers now. It's
like... I definitely agree that with Elst Dragoon, this is something that, like, there is now a level of pressure on every single roll. And if you do decide to push a roll, especially, that is, like, remarkably tense. I also like the circular nature of this, because if I am pushing a roll and I don't have like a feat that like applies to like add to this roll or whatever, that's a perfect example of a situation where I might want to pull a caravan die and like say, shit, I need this roll to go well. So like, I'm going to pull something from like the central pool.
Yeah.
I don't know. He explained this to me over this weekend and I was very tired and I was like, I don't understand this, but like reading back over it, it's a really elegant system. I don't know. It was good work.
I also think it's the case that like I was starting to look at the pile of die in the table and I'm like, man, how we have it right now, there's a lot of potential die in the center of the table, even stock. Like this is now a system where it's like, now I'm encouraged to use this, not just save it. Like I don't want to just save this. I want to start cranking as many doubles as I can.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know.
Cool. And then let's talk a little bit about equipment. Now I have reformatted this section just a little bit.
Okay, that's fine.
I just put them in columns so that it's.
That's what I tried to do, but I changed the whole document to columns, and I was like, oh, Taylor's gonna be mad about me.
And I would be. No, it's hard to do. It's one of those situations where like Microsoft does not want to comply with like what you actually want to do, so like it's harder to set up than it sounds. But yeah. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the equipment stuff. This is actually the first time that I've gotten the chance to really look at this.
I do want to talk about what else Dragoon just said, because I was literally thinking the same thing as he said that.
Okay.
Can you generate a double at the same time that you roll, like push a roll? I don't know. That's something we got to talk about. Like, right.
Huh.
Like, does it just apply to the roll? Or I think how I would have it right now is that like you would use the double system as it stands separate from pushing the roll. So I can either apply this to the roll if I generated doubles there, or put another one into bank and it won't count against me if I roll a failure on that one.
Make a roll, fail. What if that happens when you're pushing a roll though?
That's what I'm saying. If you generate a double when you're pushing a roll, I think you can either choose, like, I think it just goes stock doubles. You can either apply it to the success to the roll that you're currently doing, or you could just put it into bank afterwards. I don't think it would count. Like, if you fail that roll, I don't think it would count as an extra degree of failure on top. I think it would just put a degree of success into the bank that you could either use now or not.
Well, but it's not whether you use it now or not, because if you fail the roll, the bank automatically gets spent as failure, right? That's how the system works.
That's what I'm saying. That like.
So it would just be one less degree of failure.
One less degree of failure, or you can put it in the bank.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Great question, though.
Use it before you make the roll. You have to choose to use it before you make the roll. That's the whole thing with the bonus die is like you got to be like, I'm going to use the extra die. You can't fail the roll and then grab a die from it. You got to wager it first. And to push a roll, same thing. You got to wager, be like, hey, I'm going to push this roll. Same idea. I stole it from Cult Cthulhu.
I come from the world of academia from at least a couple of years ago. There's a phrase in academia where somebody who steals from one paper is a thief. They're a plagiarist. And a scholar is somebody who steals from 10 people. And a great scholar is somebody who steals from 50 people. So, yeah, we're thieves. This is what creation looks like.
All right. Let me talk about some things.
Yeah.
So I took our basic idea of Star Shatter, Biologica, and Creatronics. It kind of has placeholders for the kind of items that we're going to have in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if these are damage types or just the type of items. As it stands, I don't have like extra damage or not applied to them. I'm just using it as a categorization system. So it is a potential thing where I think that we have built into the game an idea for damage types. I don't know if that's the route we want to go down, but something to talk about. I put them in there.
It's
So
planting flags.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see if it works.
Well, yeah, we'll find out real quick.
Yeah. So the first one I want to direct your attention to is the basic weapon, which is the bone knife.
The bone knife. Yeah, I'm so sad there isn't more of a description. But
I tried to cut down my descriptions on these things because Taylor's talked to me about my descriptions being.
they often are long.
We're gonna cut most of this, I know. What I did was I did basic equipment and then some ideas for like advanced equipment. The idea being in the second playtest, if we get to the second encounter, maybe we can play around with some fun equipment, see if that plays. Next thing I did, tarnished spike. This is Creatronics. It's a fucking rebar spike, baby.
Sick.
Grind whip, biological weapon, 1 damage, but you can pull a target or object to you. If resisted, the target makes an easy TDV check to keep the object or remain unmoved.
Okay.
Pretty
cool.
simple. It's not something that it's something they can resist very easily, but if it goes off, cool. And what was the next one? Oh, the Star Shatter weapon, Nebular Knuckles, 2 damage. On a hit, decide whether to flurry. If you do and they resist damage, then you are winded and lose 2 action points next turn. If they do not resist, they are winded and lose 2 action points next turn.
All right, sick.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Ranged weapons.
Yeah.
So we have the snub-nosed Rust Belter. This is where I was starting to get into some fun stuff with Vault Peddlers, like the Rust Punk aesthetic.
Yeah.
So it's one-handed. The snub-nosed Rust Belter deals 3 damage. I was picturing like a kind of like a ray gun, but it's not a ray gun. It's just this rusted piece of junk that like shoots rebar spikes or something. Very like Fallout, I guess.
Yeah, very, very Borderlands.
Yeah. Next one was the Globular Chuck. It's a biological weapon.
Is this?
It's gonna.
Is this a greasy nunchuck that you made?
No, it's like a gun. Okay. It's like a long range, like kind of like a gross sniper rifle.
Okay.
So it's 2-handed. The Globular Chuck does 5 damage. Once used, it needs to be readied and reloaded, costing 2 and 2 action points respectively. So this is the kind of weapon where you can fire it once per turn, but you can't do anything else. You can't move, you can't use an object, you can't do any other attacks. So like using it, ton of damage, but like you're stationary.
Well, correct me. Yeah, so you can fire, ready, and reload in a single turn, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't do anything else. You can't use an item. You can't move or anything else. All right. Sick. Yeah, I like that.
And the Scatterweave range is 2x3. So 2-handed. The Scatterweave does 2 damage to everything in a 2x3 hex field in front of the wielder. Star Shatter weapon. Yeah, and this is the kind of thing where it's like, we have hexes, tactical combat's gonna be a thing. Hi, love you, Dad, bye! Bye, Len, love you! So it's the kind of thing where it's like, you have to be careful of who you're standing next to, right? This is the kind of thing where, like, if someone has a reaction to move in front of you and you already have this planned, like, now you gotta change your plan.
Right.
So, that was a fun one. Armor. First one, cogs and gears, Creatronics, -1 to movement nodes.
Okay.
Biologica, oiled hide, 3 armor points, -1 to any social check. Because you're gross. And then Synthweave, Star Shatter, just 2 armor points, pretty basic stuff.
Unrepairable, fuck.
Unrepairable, yeah. If it gets busted, I figure it's the kind of thing where there's like a ton of Synthweave around. Yeah. So, and then items. How fun are the items? because it's kind of thing where we don't have like a lot of healing stuff, so like doing weird stuff with items could be fun. So Quickened Yeast, Star Shatter, adds an additional 2 movement nodes to this for this turn, consumed after use. So you drink this up and you can move more. We have the Sludge Bomb, Biologica. On a successful hit, a target acts as if their movement is challenged.
Yep.
And then the Thrust Torch, Creatronics. Flat 2 modifier for breaking down sealed metals. It takes a scene to recharge.
Sick. All right, cool. Love these.
Advanced weapons. Okay, now let's get into some fun. First one I came up with.
Wait. So clarifying question before you get into the items themselves.
Yes.
When our players sit down next week, are we giving them like what's the difference between like advanced and regular items insofar as they'll play in next week? Like, do our players each just get like one advanced item? Do they have to like earn it or something?
I was going to, if we're doing 2 combats.
Yeah.
I was going to do
one with, one without.
Items. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Sorry. Go ahead.
The idea here, this is the kind of items that you would be getting after doing some vault pedaling, right? You saved up a bit. Yeah, exactly. So this one's called the Tungsten Tank. It's a big hammer. Tungsten Tank is a Star Shatter weapon. This hammer requires momentum to swing. You can only attack with it following at least 1 movement range. 6 damage. For 5 petty coin, your swing hits everyone in the surrounding hex.
Fuck! Okay,
Yeah, so it's the
hell
kind of thing where
yeah!
it's like, you gotta like start swinging it, and as you move into an area, you like hit everyone.
I like the idea that you have to move to use it. That's a tight idea. I really like that.
And that's what I tried to do. Like everything, like this is something we've talked about with like Knife's Edge game design, where it's like you gotta balance things. So
right.
It's not just a power game, right? It's not D&D where it's like you just get better. There's like still things you got to contend with because the world is everything's broken.
Yeah,
sorry.
Everything sucks.
Yeah. So Repeated Needler, Creatronics. It does. It has no range. It's non-lethal. So if you take someone to 0 with it, they don't die. They just go unconscious. 1 damage. For 3 petty coin, you may attack 1 target with the Repeated Needler for an additional 1d6 times. So it does 1 damage, but you could potentially, do 6 damage.
Oh, well, wait, is it... So this is something I do need to clarify, because it's Repeated Needler for an additional 1d6 times, not 1d6 damage. So,
exactly, so you have to roll the attacks still.
And so on the future attacks, when I roll those, can I keep rolling for an additional 1d6 times?
As much, I mean, I guess as many, like, that's a tough one. I think like stock, I would say that, like, rules as intended.
Well, because it's infinite turns.
Right. I would say rules as intended, you can only use a feat item as many action points as you have. So I'd say, like, if you have the action points to make another hit, you would have to, like, to use the item feat again, I think you'd have to use action points.
Okay.
I think that,
well,
like...
but this explicitly says I don't need the action points.
But I'm saying to use the item's feat again, I think you'd need to use action points again. To use the, like, to apply them to the next roll. Or maybe we want to do it just as many petty coins as you have. There's a couple different ways to go with it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna just put a note in here. We may need to come back to this one.
Yeah, we might need to clarify it. So, the next one. Irradiated Brand. Irradiated Brand. Biologica. Every swing with the Irradiated Brand does a resistible 1 damage to the person wielding it. It does 5 damage. For 4 petty coin, the target stuck with the irradiated brand must make a resistance roll for an additional 3 armor damage. So you get hurt when you swing it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So those are the melee weapons.
Okay.
let's get into the ranged weapons. We have the curved guidance rust belter. Thank you. So this is two-handed. Enhanced guidance systems mean this weapon can only be fired once per round. 5 damage. For 2 petty coin, these shots can... sorry, you're moving it around.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm just...
It's all right. For 2 petty coin, these shots can follow hex curves. So you can shoot around things with this gun, is the idea, instead of just in a row. Next one, Nitro Shot Cudgel, which is what I put it in the... This is a Star Shatter weapon, two-handed, -2 to your attack roll, 3 damage. For 3 petty coin, this damage will be dealt to everyone in a 3x3 hex field.
Ooh.
So,
all right.
Yeah. It's hard to hit with it, but when it hits, cool. It's a range of 7. So, like, yeah, you're firing this big shot that, like, can go 7 and hit everything in this 3x3 field, but, like, it's hard to shoot.
Hell yeah. And the one I've been waiting for. Corey sent me just a list of items. Sent me a close-up of the same screenshot, just of the screaming slug.
It's an actual slug in my head. Like, it's a living creature that, like, I don't know. I was, like, feeling very Futurama, I guess.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, it's like the Spice Weasel.
Bam!
It's got a range of 3, but it deals 4 damage. For 4 petty coin, it will deal an additional 2 damage at the end of their turn. So it's persistent damage, basically.
Okay. Bit disappointed that there isn't more on the screaming slug, but fair, fine. It's a solid weapon. It's a weapon of the working man, the honest man.
An honest man uses a screaming slug.
An honest man uses a screaming slug.
So next one, thunderous. Is this word chitin? Chitin?
I don't fucking know.
It's bug stuff. Thunderous chitin?
I'm not familiar with that word. I don't know.
Anyways, it is made of a carapace of a mountainous trib. I just went ahead and made an animal. It's called the mountainous trib.
Sick.
Its bulk hinders movement. Take a -2 movement nodes during combat turn orders. As a reaction, you may spend 3 petty coin and deal that damage back at the attacker. The idea being that it, like, reverberates. It's like this heavy carapace. When it gets hit, they take shock damage back if you spend your magic money on it. Next one is the Whirring Bell. This is my idea of, like, armor that is, like, a bunch of, like, cogs and gears with belts moving on it and shit. Like, it's like gas power. You gotta
Hell
start
yeah.
it up.
Very, very steampunk.
Yeah. Wearing the Whirring Belt gives the wearer a -2 to any check involving hearing or remaining hidden. For 3 petty coin, the Whirring Belt will deafen and do 2 damage to anyone in the surrounding hex. So, like, you're really getting that engine revving on your armor. Your armor has an engine, and I love that.
All right, sick.
And the next one is the Plasma Cloak. Star Shatter. 3 armor nodes. I don't know, I put AP. Sorry. It should be 8 armor nodes. I put points in all of a sudden.
Okay.
For 2 petty coin, you can empower your Plasma Cloak, giving you an additional 2 movement nodes for the sake of incoming attacks, not for taking movement. So the idea here is, like, it gets brightly lit, and it makes you harder to hit because of it. So, like, when someone's trying to hit you, you're just hard to hit, and they can't see it, so it counts as 2 extra movement nodes based on how the mechanics of our system works.
This lets you zag on them.
Yeah, let's do zag for sure.
Sick.
Oh yeah, I know. This is gonna be that's gonna need so much testing, but I figured it would be fun.
This is what playtesting is for.
Yeah. So this one is.
Wait. Hang on. This is gonna. Yeah, I need to fix this. I need to fix this, or I'm going to die. Okay.
This one's called. These are items. So the first one is a Creatronics item called the Overlay Interface. Predictive modeling software from the Glittering Quartz accurately predicts incoming attacks. At the cost of 2 petty coin, use an additional D4 to roll on the damage resistance for any attack initiated as a reaction. So, like, if somebody's going to do a reaction attack on you, you can use this basically as a reaction to that and make it harder to hit.
Cool. I like that you're putting in stuff for reaction-based reaction feats, because we don't have a lot of those built into the character stuff. Yeah. And I know that's like a big part in our combat thing, so I'm glad we're going to have a chance to test that out.
Me too. It was kind of why I was like, we got to get these in somewhere.
Yeah.
The next one is... Whoa,
sorry.
Whoa.
Go, you're good.
Is a Biologica item called the Thermal Steam Gasser. Activate the Thermal Steam Gasser for 4 petty coin. A 1d6 by 1d6 space is obscured by colored steam. Any action involving sight will be performed with a 1d4 detracting die added to the roll. So, just makes things harder to do, because it's fog everywhere. This one is fun. This one's a lot of fun and hugely game-breaking.
Okay, sick.
It's called the Magnetized Crater. It's a Star Shatter item. For 7 petty coin, activate the Magnetized Crater. Everything in a 2x2 hex is pushed out of that area. 1d6 metallic objects picked randomly by the archivist are pulled to it. If the object is held, the person holding it may make a moderate TDD to hold on to the object.
Fuck. It's just randomly picked by the archivist?
Yeah, I'm like trying to disarm people, so like...
Oh, dog, that's wild.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun one.
That is such a great way for a GM to just make enemies with every player on the fucking table. I look forward to seeing that one being used.
Cool. So those are the items.
And I've gone ahead and I've just added mountainous trib to our wildlife section, just as an update. All right, Corey. So to be clear, that's the update portion of our stream today. As you might have gotten from our title, we are actually doing something that Corey and I have been talking about for fucking ages. Because when Corey and I are both players in each other's games. Corey is a player in my L5R game. I am a player in Corey's Cyberpunk game, which means that we never get to have those fun GM conversations where you actually get to talk about your campaign in full, because of course that would mean spoiling our stories for the other person. For the first time, Corey and I, we don't get to do a lot of like lore into the adventure because it's a combat playtest, but we finally get to fucking talk about like setting up adventures and like setting up encounters and like how you do that shit. Because it's totally different. Every GM handles this in like a different way. I am so excited to pick your brain about this kind of stuff, and see how you approach it.
I'm surprised, based off of how Cyberpunk is going right now, you haven't picked up how I'm doing.
It's like one of those things where, like you watch people struggle with like a super easy puzzle, and you're like, oh my god, these people are idiots. And then like as soon as you're in that position, you have no idea. You're just like, what do you, I don't know. Square in triangle hole. What do I don't know.
It's one of the reasons why I don't like necessarily use puzzles that can't be solved by like I'll use puzzles, I guess, and that you can logically solve, but I always have like, you can roll your way out of them too, because like, it's have you ever seen that? It's like, I never asked my fucking person who's playing a fighter to do push-ups to solve something. It's unfair to put that on the wizard.
Yeah, Elstragoon, it's exactly on. Like I always love the idea of putting in like a cool puzzle in a game. Like, it's always so tempting for me, but yeah, it's same with Corey. Whenever I put them in, I always have like a back door in mind in case it just doesn't click with the players, like always.
That being said, combat is one place I actually do love to put puzzles because I like to.
Same.
Yeah.
Yes. Hell yeah.
Because like environmental puzzles are fun.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you got to keep moving or you're gonna start sinking in this shit. Like.
Yeah, I remember.
The kind of...
I remember I was watching, I think it was Brendan Lee Mulligan talking about like making combat interesting. And he said, he gave this example where he was like, so I had like all of my players, they were just on a field and they were fighting off these enemies or whatever. And it was just kind of like a whatever, so combat. And then I changed it to make it so that, okay, you have to do this same combat, but if this one flower gets trampled, then like something like super bad is going to happen. And it like totally changes the whole narrative of the combat, right? Like suddenly people are like having to form lines around this thing. Like enemies start like mistakenly going for like this flower, not really paying attention to it. But I absolutely agree.
Well, and it makes you play with like geography and environment more in your combats, right?
Yeah.
Because now all of a sudden, like, I'm going to put in cover. I'm going to put in things where people can like leverage their position against an enemy. And now combat, like, by the fact that I put in this little puzzle, is so much more interesting because I'm going to play differently. So yeah, that's like how I approach it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I actually
that's a good idea.
Roll with intellect for a hint. Yeah,
that's cool.
Absolutely. No, like it's kind of like if you can't roll your way out of it in a dice game, then it probably shouldn't be in your dice game, right? Like it's
the same thing with like making player characters who don't work well in a group. It's like, well, that's great, but this is a group game. So.
Right, it's a group game. Like, that's what it's made for.
Cool character, but I don't think he belongs here.
No, I struggled with this a lot in Ruma, actually, where I would make all of these, like, riddles and, like, cryptic, like, pieces of, like, prophecy or whatever that you guys would find. And I on the back end of that, like, behind the screen, I struggled with that a lot. Because I was like, shit, I don't want to like railroad this so much that like they don't know where to go or that they don't feel like it matters. But like, I'm also trying to do this kind of story where it's like, you've got to interpret this correctly or whatever. And yeah, that was a big reckoning for me.
Correct is such a hard thing in a game. That's like when you start like I'm no longer planning the situation, I'm planning a scene that I want. Right. So, like I have to be prepared to narrate what happens if they don't do it. And like Yeah. And also like in Ruma, you might have a character who just immediately knocks out the person who's giving the hints with a rock.
or you might have an illiterate player. Or two of them who will just pick up a fucking scroll and open it and be like, this is dumb. Just throw it into the woods.
Oh, Hakarum, I miss you so much.
Oh, God. So many good memories. So, that being said, as far as
okay, we got to talk after stream. I just had a good idea.
Okay. Do you want to talk about it now? Because
no, I was just saying you should run Ruma again after the fact. This is like a like sequel adventure. Use Exalted as a campaign because Exalted's all about like if your characters are gods and they have god powers and like like it's supposed to be for high level god player characters and deal with like the ramifications of psychology.
We're talking later. Absolutely, 1000%. So anyways, I had an idea for one encounter. So I don't know if you already have something in mind. We
I have
kind of
nothing in mind.
I was going to say, cause I know that we kind of came up with this, like this idea that I would run one and then you would run one. The initial idea was that we would each be playing in each other's encounter, but now we're not. because we got a good number of playtesters. So now I get to tell you what my idea was for this encounter.
Yeah.
So in the encounter that I have in mind, kind of similar to the flower example that I was telling you about before. So this is in the middle of a vault. You're in like this underground vault. You're in kind of one of the higher sub-levels of it as you're like delving deeper. And the only way to delve deeper is through this elevator that is like, it's a mine shaft kind of thing.
Okay.
The mine shaft, the elevator is operated off of like a turning cog, and the power source for that elevator is at the bottom. So currently the only way to turn that cog is through manpower, which basically means, right. So you're starting to get where this comes in. You have to move and potentially split the party depending on how you do this. And the whole time you have, I was thinking Wakanovum, those like big bat creatures, that are sort of coming through. And so it's this balancing act of having to fight these creatures off, keep turning the cog. One player goes down on this elevator to turn on the power source, basically splitting the party kind of by design almost. But
yeah, I like that a lot. I unplugged my. So sorry if I interrupted you. I unplugged my headphones.
No,
so
you're set. You're set.
Stop talking. Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to find a map that would accommodate that, because we're talking about multi-tiers.
I was assuming I would have to make one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do like the idea of like I love that movement idea.
Yeah.
Well, and like I guess my only concern with that would be like, is it too flat of a plane to have the gear? Would it be a multi-phase map? Sorry, I've been thinking very visually about play areas because I've been building all my maps.
Totally. So my idea for actually making the map was. I don't know how these are described. I don't know what the actual word for it is, but it's like a 3/4 view. It's not like a direct overhead. You're seeing it at a side, and then you're seeing like the different levels. Incarnate has like really great tools for this that are like sort of built in. A lot of the maps and icons are built with this kind of perspective done in anyways. So that was my kind of idea of it. So you would have this kind of back view, showing like the elevator shaft going down, and then having a hex field kind of on the upper level of it.
Right.
Actually, what am I doing? I can physically show you. Hang on.
Right. You have, so here's an idea that we could throw into this one specifically.
Okay.
First off, I love that you're including multiple enemies, because you need to, one big enemy doesn't work unless they have minions.
Well, it doesn't work, because the other thing too is the impetus for it has to be that you have to turn. The impetus for it has to be that you have to turn the cog.
Right.
Because if the answer is, well, I can just kill the enemy and then turn the cog after the enemy is dead, there's literally no reason to split the party. There's no reason to turn the cog whatsoever. Right.
Maybe we can. So this idea I'm about to pitch, we might be able to use for this one because you have like an elevator shaft, and aerial creatures.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have timed layer events or layer actions where like gusts of wind blow through that make movement difficult or push you in one direction. That could be something fun with environmental stuff to add on to it, especially because it I dig this a lot.
Okay, cool. So
where are you writing down adventure planning, type 2 insert. Okay, Taylor's encounter. We have what do we have? The giant. What are they called?
The current name for them is Wakanovum. but that is because I don't know. I don't really like the way I name things.
Movement encounter. So what happened? So as a question,
Yeah.
if you, maybe this is how we can bring. If you don't keep the elevator moving, maybe that's when like the gusts start to blow.
Okay.
Like, I don't know how we would
Well,
lore-wise put that in.
Well, I mean, that's I don't know. Like, it's an empty old destroyed ruin. Like, I don't see any reason why there wouldn't be like destroyed sections, destroyed columns, or whatever that I don't know, that like would lead to like big gusts of wind coming through.
Well, I was thinking like, so if movement is what gets you moving down, right?
Right.
I
see what you're saying. Why would the wind blow only when you're not turning the cog?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, but like, I guess my question is, like, I like the idea of having that be a component that happens if you don't turn the cog, because now it's like I'm facing off against these enemies, and I have another reason to want to turn the cog, which is I'm going to be pushed and not be able to move against them if I don't move the cog downward.
Right.
Also, I want whatever's on the bottom floor, so like. A way to keep the movement going, I guess, was an idea. But maybe it is like maybe it's like falling apart around you as you're like the shaft is falling apart.
Yeah, that was definitely sort of the take that I had on it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna put this here. So, what you're looking at basically is like, this area up here is like the top of it, and then we can like, I can make a little mine shaft that goes down here. This whole area would represent like a big cliff face, or like the back wall of like this ruin or whatever. And then down here I can make another level of that would like effectively be like that bottom floor.
So only one person has to go down.
Only one person would have to go down, yeah. Because, I mean, we're working with a 3-player group, right?
Ooh, I have an idea.
Okay.
So you're saying up top they need to turn this gear in order to get one person down below, and then there's Wakanovum flying in?
Yeah.
What if there were multiple elevators with a gear on top and a gear on bottom, so that you needed each person to go down a separate elevator because they have to move the gear on top in order to get somebody down. So 2 players stay up top as one person's moving down, fighting the Wakanovum. The Wakanovum are flying on both sides. So once they're down below, they have to, both people, one person up top, one person on bottom, have to turn the gears together to get the other person down. Once you have 2 people down, you have to get both those people turning the bottom gear to get the third person down.
Fuck!
That way splitting the party, but...
It's splitting. Okay, so my only concern there is it's splitting the party, but if we do it that way, then we're effectively we're occupying everybody with turning these gears.
2 people have to be turning, one person has to be in the shaft. The other thing is, when you're in a shaft, can I do anything else? If the shaft is open, I think you can take shots at the Wakanovum and they'll be flying through, right? The other thing is, how long does it take to get down? Is it 1 turn, 2 turns?
Yeah.
Is it dependent on how well they're rolling on this gear? Is it like 3 successful rolls on the gear gets it to move, no matter what those rolls may be?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Huh. So, let me think about this for a minute. Like, if we're my other concern though is that if we're having 2 people turning cogs, 1 person on the shaft,
what if they have a rope?
What if they have a rope?
Good question.
Well, so I think maybe the cliff is not the best marker of this. The idea is that right now when you're looking at this, you're looking through a back wall, right? So maybe a better way to do this, honestly, would just be to have like a line, and then showing the shaft going down instead of showing like this open cliff face.
Actually, I think I have a way around the rope thing anyways.
Yeah.
We have the wind rolling through. If they could go down with a rope, sure, but there's going to be gusts of wind on every layer action that could roll in debris, roll in more enemies, or blow the player. So if you go down on a rope, you could get pushed off that rope and take significant damage.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely a concern. I know that if I was a player, I would probably just go down on the rope and take the risk. Like, I don't know. I definitely think that in terms of, isn't it okay if they use a rope though?
Yeah, I think it should be okay if they use a rope.
Yeah. I mean,
to be fair, I didn't design any rope in the equipment.
it'll be an improvised rope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my initial thought for this is definitely more of an issue where bone knife, yes.
We can tie 3 bone knives together. With what? Didn't you?
With what? Oh, I've got this rope.
Hey, here's an idea. The elevators are like keys to unlocking the next door. So in order to get down, we have to get these elevators like corkscrews into the keyholes. So if we want to go down on a rope and just fucking collapse it, sure. But we're still going to get the elevators down.
Okay. I don't hate that idea. Yeah, I mean, I guess the truth is, like, you still wouldn't be able to go all 3 down on the rope at once, right? Because that would be basically suicide.
Mm-hmm. So let's do this.
Yeah.
Movement encounter. Keep movement encounter. Use the gears to the top and bottom gears to get the elevators keys into their home lock.
Yeah.
Opening the next row. So what else do we have? We have the Wakanovum, multiple. I spelled that right.
You did.
What else do we have? Layer activities. Gusts of wind.
Definitely like falling debris, like cave-ins.
Debris. More Wakanovum.
More Wakanovum. There would definitely be like old world security. I don't know. I don't know how much we want to do with that.
Maybe we could use that on the next encounter. We can do more like security stuff on the next encounter.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I have an idea for a monster that's trying to eat the relic that you're trying to grab.
Ooh, that's great. Okay, hang on.
Oh, bone knife ladder, yes!
Bone knife ladder.
How's it to get down? Bad. It's bad.
Yeah. By the way, you did check, and none of our playtesters are watching this stream where we detail the challenges that they're going to be facing, right?
I don't think they would anyways.
That's probably true. Hey, Taylor, if you're worried that somebody's watching the stream, the answer is no.
It's no. I think next time we have a good chance of getting some people watching, though. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Because we get to be like, hey, we're playing a game.
We're actually, hey guys, we're doing something. We're doing something interesting this time.
So layer actions: gust of wind, falling debris, more Wakanovum. So you need two people. So we need two people performing on the gears in order to get the elevators to move. Is the central conceit, right?
Well, so my initial idea was actually that only one person needs to turn the gear, and the other person needs to basically be standing guard and fighting off Wakanovum, protecting the person who is turning the gear. That was the initial conceit.
So here's the thing: if we do two people have to perform on the gear to get it to turn. Because we have action points and you can do multiple things a turn, like you could conceivably perform an action on the gear and then fight Wakanovum.
Yeah, that's fair.
So let's do central conceit. In order to get the elevator, the keys in the lock, you need to have two people performing on either the top or bottom gears. If that's all that, well, I mean, it's just for us.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Elstragoon, when we have you on for playtesting, we won't spoil it the week before.
No, what we'll do is we'll lure him into a false sense of security.
we'll set up a fake encounter.
Surprise, motherfucker! It's actually the bone knife ladder. Get on it.
Elstragoon, you probably could DM this game at this point. You probably know it better than we do.
Probably not, because we keep changing the rules on it.
That's true. We keep zagging. Okay, so yeah, to get the key, look, need two people performing.
Precious rope now.
Top or bottom.
So here's the thing. How many actions, like, let's just break it down. You could do any number of things to get the gear to turn, right? You could push it physically. You could use one of your items. Whatever it does, you have to get the gear to turn.
Right.
How many like successful rolls do you need to have on the gear to get the one elevator down into the hole?
So I think that if we're doing multiple elevators going up and down, then I think it needs to be short. But I don't know if I want to do it. Maybe two for each elevator.
Let's do 3 for each elevator, because it makes it like that awkward number where, like, if we both concentrated on it, we can get it down in one turn, but we're going to take some hits if we do that.
Oh, okay, I like that. So basically, you could spend all of your action points turning, but then that negates the Okay, yeah. No, I like that.
The other question is, we have a basic action as one action point. This isn't a basic... I mean, unless they come up with a solution for turning it, that's a basic action. But I think actually cranking it, because it takes, like... It takes movement, right?
If it requires both of them, it's not a basic action.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, like, on base, it needs at least 2 or 3 action points to get this thing to move.
Don't make me more than one roll to turn a wheel.
Well, okay. So the idea is not that they need to basically get 3 cranks off of this thing to get the elevator down.
Okay, is that 3 cranks between them? Or is that 3 cranks
each elevator would need 3, right?
Okay, well then you could easily do that in a single turn.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
one person just does sacrifices 2.
There's ways around it, yeah. But with the added effect that there were going to be multiple Wakanovum attacking you too.
Right.
So do you take the hit or? But I mean, Elstragoon does make. But these are short combat encounters. I think this is a fine mechanic to use.
Okay, so each trip to the lock is 3
actions on it, or 3. Yeah, 3. I mean, Elstragoon's right. It is 3 rolls to get one elevator down. Well, is that too much? Unless they do something exceedingly
They
clever.
would. They
and
would
get it
have to
down in
roll.
one.
They would have to roll each time, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and is that boring? Or maybe there's a series of things you need to get done to get the
This is the challenge, because like I don't want it to just be one roll, because then it just feels cheap. Like it feels
Right.
like I've just given you busy work or whatever.
Right.
I want it to feel tense and prolonged and important.
Here's the thing. Let's think about the effects of the place that we're in, not just think about the mechanics, right? We're in an old mine shaft. Things haven't been moved in here in a while. It's rusted to shit. To get this thing to move, you're gonna have to free the gear, right?
Okay.
So free the gear and turn the gear. Those are two things. What are other complications that could come up to turn a gear?
I mean,
I don't
like
know.
old machinery, like down the cogs or whatever, gets like misplaced, or it's rusted, or you could have like a piece that's missing, maybe like a piece that's like fallen off, and you need to go retrieve it and put it into the right place.
Ooh, I like that. If they okay, so things are rusted over, so you need to free the gear to turn the gear. Once you turn the gear, we could have layer actions to jam the gears in the middle. That way, someone has to get down onto the person in the elevator has to somehow free that debris from the cogs around them, right?
Oh, well, because they would be because like they would be in the middle, basically.
Yeah, they're in the middle, so it's like, okay, now you have to free that, and the enemy's attacking. So there's ways around this. Okay, it's just one action to turn the gear, but the gear is rusted.
Okay. Sec here. So one action to turn.
Make it turnable. I just have to spend the turns. You know, that's a good point. Yeah, but once we make it turnable, it's a simple action to turn the gear. But first, you have to make the gear turnable. There's one complication right there.
Okay. So what we're getting basically is that to turn the gear, turning the gear is a simple action. So that is one action point, right?
Right. Yeah. So you can get it down in one, but first you got to find a way to free it. So this gear is overgrown and rusted. We know that, right?
Right. Okay.
So first they're gonna have to be like, okay, and we're not telling them this. They're just like, there's 3 elevators. That. How do we communicate the idea that they need all of these elevators down in the pitch of the encounter?
That was honestly gonna be my question to you when you initially modified the idea. I don't know. If we do it that way, like it's a cool mechanic of having to go back and forth and kind of splitting up the party. I don't actually know how you would narratively justify that. Maybe it's the kind of thing where returning all of the elevators to the locks unlocks the door, but I don't know why that would be the case.
The door at the bottom, so we can have, like, you have intel that there's a door at the bottom, so
right.
You know you need to get down. Maybe it is like there's a big display screen, right? A blinking screen, and it has 3 X's. In front of you, there are 3 daises that can fit about 1 person each, and a large crank. The crank is overgrown and rusted. All of the X's are blinking. In front of the elevators, there's another indicator of an X. So once you get 1 down, it turns into a green circle. So you're like, okay, once we get 1 down, we know that we need to get the other ones down. This is going, I think at that point, I don't think we need to do anything else other than that we need, because they're going to have to figure out that puzzle, which we can make them roll on adaptation to figure out.
Well, hang on. We're making this more complicated than it needs to be. You don't need the display screen. The players know that you need to have 2 people to turn the crank to get the elevator down, right? So here's what happens. For the player on the elevator, as they're going down, they look and they see at the bottom of the elevator, there is another identical gear, another identical cog, and it is also turning, right? And so they put it together that there are 2 cranks basically to get these elevators working. And then they realize you need 2 people to turn these cranks. So what that means is that for the next person to come down, they'll have to get into the second elevator, because obviously you're not going to turn the cranks, bring the first elevator back up just so you can bring it back down again. They'll have to get into the second elevator, at which point the first player that's just gone down the elevator will get on the lower crank. The third player will get on the upper crank. Both of them turn it, bring the second guy down.
Let's do both. We can telegraph it visually with the display screen with the X's and zeros.
Yeah.
Or the X's and O's, the red light, green light kind of thing. And we can have the visual, once you're on the elevator, seeing the crank below. Now we're selling the idea that there are 2 cranks, 2 people need to turn it. We have the idea that they have to solve this little puzzle while they're being attacked. They have to free the gears, and then they have to get the gears down.
Yeah.
Once they get the gears freed, it's only one action to turn the gear to get the elevator moving.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that works. I
do. I think that actually makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is just GM, like I'm too much in my own head, but I feel like ultimately, if your goal is to get all 3 players down to the bottom, and you need 2 players turning the cranks every time to get somebody down, the puzzle writes itself. Right. Okay, cool.
It's a big, heavy gear. It's overgrown, and it's rusted. There's a display screen with blinking 3 X's. Each of the elevators surrounded with red light. At the bottom, as you peer down, you can see another gear. So yeah, I think like a simultaneous situation. Yeah, I think that totally works. We have all of this. Yeah, I think all of that information makes it work. And Ellis Dragoon, if you don't think that WD-40 is a big part of this game, you're wrong, because it is.
it's liquid gold in a Vault Peddler crew.
I mean, honestly, it would be, though. Like,
it absolutely would be. Are you kidding? People die over WD-40.
The idea is that, like, everything's broken and shitty. Like...
Chitin, yeah, exactly.
Whatever that stuff is.
Okay, so... going back to an original conversation then, how many action points to free the gear?
I don't know. It depends on how they decide to free it, right? I think that's like up to Archivist. All we're giving them is the gear itself is rusted and overgrown.
Okay, yeah.
They can use the tools that they have on their character sheet, and we can generate some possible solutions. You could you could all like perform some action, like you could all twist it to try to shake the rust loose. You could hack at the vines to get it loose. Like there's any number of ways. And I think if we have a couple solutions, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So if that's the case, just grind a bug into the gears.
You know, in a game, someone's going to pitch that and someone's going to be playing an Error or Shade and be like, I resent that.
This feels very uncomfortable right now.
Feels like a hostile work environment.
I don't know if I'm going to work with y'all after this job is over.
Oh, we need to have an HR department for a job.
Okay. I think that's a cool breakdown. I can build a map that goes over that more. What we need to do now is I want to talk a little bit about your idea. I really love the central conceit that there is a monster trying to eat the relic that you're trying to rescue. Tell me more about that.
So, like, that's sort of all I had. So my idea is, like, very much like an inverse, So in Indiana Jones, the first one, when he steals the relic and then he's chased by the ball out, this is like you're going towards the relic and there's something chasing you in. So like as you're going in, it's trying to eat it.
So in the there's a central dais with the with whatever the relic is, and there's a big worm that can maybe go underground or come out of the walls. I like the idea that it can tunnel or burrow because it gives it like actions to escape.
Okay.
And we could also do like a laser, like you mentioned security, like moving laser guidance systems that are like sweeping through the room. So you have to plan your movement based on how those are telegraphing where they're going to shoot lasers. So you have to also dodge this thing that's moving in and out of the walls and trying to fight you to get to this object, at the same time trying to dodge this.
Yeah.
Which is a Matrix quote.
Yeah, no, I love it. Okay, cool.
The ball is hungry.
Tell me a little bit more about the monster. You have like a giant worm in mind?
Yeah, some kind of like I guess like a dragon, if dragons
like a Tremors?
Yeah, like a Tremors.
It's a Tremors. Okay, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can burrow through rock, and so maybe like a long hallway of a map, and like at the end you can like it kind of winds. You know where the dais is, and the dais has the relic on it.
Okay.
And then you hear a rumbling, and then through the walls jumps this monster.
There's a couple things we need to set up here.
Yeah.
I like the idea that it's like a long winding hallway, and players start before the combat begins. They navigate through this hallway. As they're going through, they're taking like checks on like their surroundings,
security systems.
Yeah, and that's when you're feeding all this stuff. Like there's security systems. If you do X, Y, and Z, it's going to set them off. The other thing that we need to set up with this though is that we need to set up that the relic you're taking is somehow valuable to the Tremors, right? So if we're like the best thing that I can come up with is maybe maybe this thing is like a heat source.
Ooh, I like that.
And so like you take this thing and like you narrate to the players, you know, this thing is warm in your hands. You can tell it's like radiating energy, and maybe this is why the client wants it in the first place. And then at that point, the worm breaks through, the Tremors like comes through a wall or some shit. And here's where I get lost, because as a player, I'm only going to assume that the worm, like, I don't know, is defending its home, or it's, you know, hungry for me or something like that. I don't know how I would infer as a player that the relic is the thing that the worm wants.
Okay, cool. So here's an idea. It's not trying to eat it. It's hatching its eggs there. It's a big warm thing. The big warm thing is it is the central power system for the security systems that you are very carefully trying to avoid as you're going down the hall.
That's
so you know
tight.
that you have to do these careful checks. As you're going down, you get closer, you start to hear this rumbling. All of a sudden, this thing bursts through the walls because you're getting close to its hatching layer. As you get close to the hatching layer, now you can't be careful with your surroundings on your walking, and those security systems start going off. So once you get, now that you've like grabbed it, the security systems kind of start this tumble of more security systems going off. So you know once you grab this item, you'll be able to take those offline. Or we can have them roll intellect adaptation, rather. There is no intellect in our game. That's the other thing else with them.
We're all dumb! Everybody in Vault Peddlers is fucking dumb. We don't have an intelligence stat.
We took out intelligence. We replaced it with adaptation. It's more of a living intelligence.
So dumb. Okay.
I like the idea of being able to kite the monster into the security system too. If there's a way we can telegraph like how the security systems go off we might be able to do that. Like, if we know
Okay.
that the security systems go off in a certain way, and we can communicate that to the player through the security systems going off on them, they
Yeah.
can utilize that information to fight the monster with it.
Huh. I also like the idea that as you take away this like heat source or whatever, that like maybe the babies that have already started hatching or like have already hatched also get angry, also get like fucked up.
So this is the thing. You take the heat source.
See you later, El Dragoon. Thanks for stopping by.
Dude, thank you for stopping in. You take the heat source and the security system shut down, and all of a sudden this thing is roaring at you, and as it does, the eggs crack open, and now these little monsters.
Oh, it's a swarm.
Yeah, well, now you have to escape with the object through a swarm.
Okay.
So you have to.
Here's the only thing. If it's just escape the swarm or whatever, then I feel like that's almost too easy. Especially if removing, like taking this relic turns all of the security systems offline.
So here's the thing, like I think at that point, like we already have if we have like a long enough hallway of movement where you're having to avoid these security systems, you take it, you shut it down, you reward them for taking the object, you shut down the security systems. Now the next half of this is just escape. You're using your escape, likely you're using your escape phase to get extra movement and fighting things off as you're running down the hallway.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think that this encounter is much more straightforward than your encounter is. Like, it's move down a hallway, move back a hallway, with complications in the middle.
Right. Okay. No, then I'm down with that. Let's see here. So players go through initially. So when they get to the relic, it is in the middle of a giant nesting ground. Removing the relic awakens the swarm of baby tremors. Who attack the party to get it back.
Meanwhile, you have the power source for the what do you call it? Oh man, I just lost all my steam.
I know. Now that El Dragoon is gone, we're like, oh, I can finally relax.
I fucking relax.
It also turns off the security systems, right? That was what you were gonna say?
Yeah.
Okay. Security systems. So really they're only dealing with the security systems on the way there.
I mean, what El Dragoon said there though, like about lava streams, maybe shutting down the security systems also shut down the but if there's lava everywhere, why the fuck do they care about the central heating system? Unless the heating system,
Unless the heating system is like the reason that there is lava.
Yeah.
Like
that lava's getting loose and cooling.
If that's the case, how are we able to hold something like that? So
it's going into the walls and.
Like the thing is, I don't hate the idea that it is. Like maybe it's like Bluetooth or something like that. And like, hear me out. Like maybe you can turn the security systems off, but only if you're like, you succeed on like a very difficult or like a hard check to interact with this thing, right? Like a clockwork approach to a, I don't know, networking role or something. I forget what our skills are.
Let's go back one step. Maybe the security systems are also tied to an environmental system. Rum just starts to flood on your way out too. Now you have the extra environmental thing of the thing flooding. You don't have the lava thing to deal with, and
okay. Yeah. What if you go into this nesting ground, right? The door shuts behind you. And from what you can tell, it locks. And then when you take this thing out, the room starts flooding. And so it starts, it becomes this puzzle like it's an escape room. Once you're out of the escape room, the tremor kicks in and tries to murder you.
Starts chasing you. Oh, yeah. That can... Man, I like the idea of running down the hallway towards the treasure from the monster.
Towards the treasure from the monster?
I just, in my head, it was like the room starts to shake as you start heading down the hallway towards where you know the object you're trying to get in is. Because you're heading towards this thing's breeding clutch.
Right.
And, like, the room starts, and you know that there's security systems. Once this thing breaks out the wall, the security systems kick in because you fucking... You can't walk carefully anymore because this thing...
I see what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So basically, it's the security systems are online for at least a little bit until you reach the relic and grab it, turning the security systems off, and then the babies awaken and then you run away
from them.
I like that. Okay, cool. Okay. So, hang on one sec here.
Lurk.
As they get closer to the nesting ground, the tremor breaks through a wall, activating the security systems. Okay. So, yeah, middle of nesting ground. Removing the relic awakens the swarm, and turns off the security systems. Okay.
We're gonna have to meet this weekend to finish this shit.
Probably. Get it back. They must escape.
I think we have two solid encounter ideas here, though.
These are neat. Like, they both have kind of like what we were talking about before, as far as like additional things to it to make the combat interesting. So I don't know, like these are both very cool ideas.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk threats. Oh, to put it in game terms, cats, known area threats.
Oh.
Yeah, that's deep diving all the way back to the initial contract design.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go over that shit again, huh?
Yep. We gotta do a lot of stuff.
Worried about rediving?
Yeah, Jared, let me stop you. Let me stop you right there. The answer is yes. literally all the time, every waking second of my life. Yes, I am worried about stuff.
No.
Okay.
But you ever get worried about looking at something we haven't touched in a while and being like, I wonder how much of this shit's still relevant?
Yeah, right. Okay, security systems. And should we just say like crumbling infrastructure? I feel like that's
Vault Peddler's static right there.
Yeah, it's Vault Peddler's just normal stuff there. Okay. Let me see here.
Tremors.
Right.
Right here.
Yeah.
Oh, you wrote it already. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, dog. I wrote it like right under where you had it. You literally moved mine out of the way to write the same damn thing.
Oh, leave me alone.
Are you sure you're not still sick?
No, it's not positive. I do have to go back to work though, which sucks.
Yeah, that does suck. Because I know you've just been really relaxing it up these last like couple of weeks. I know it's going to be rough for you going back to having a job like the rest of us.
I don't want to be like the rest of everyone.
Fair, nobody does. We all hate it.
But it makes me want to cry.
Yeah. You keep saying these things like it's unique to you. It's not.
I guess I just used to be fine. Like I used to be a workaholic about work.
Right. No, I not anymore. I don't know. Is there anything?
I'm just gonna... Oh no. Yeah, keep.
No, keep going. Keep going. You got it.
Bye.
Anyways,